Hi everybody. Um, Raven Sky 23 here. I was tagged by Real Nutty 01. Thanks, I guess. I did have some things that I had thought about that I'm going to say because they're a little weird. Some of these things. But my 5 facts that aren't known by a lot of people. Um, One of them is I have 2 functioning spleens that I didn't know until I went to a chiropractor one time and he did some um, x-rays, and when he came back out his face was all white, and he actually said to me, he goes, I'm going to have to send you to the hospital for more tests, which kind of freaked me out. And he said, there's a mass on one of your kidneys. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm thinking cancer, I'm thinking all this stuff. So I went out and I had a CAT scan, and what it revealed was one of my kidneys, what he thought was the mass, one of my kidneys is laying on its side and pushed one way or another, so it looked like it was a mass, but that was fine. But then the guy that was doing the CAT scan says, do you realize you have 2 spleens? And I said, no, not something you really know. And the two spleens are both functioning, and one of the things that Rafe thinks, TimberGeek, what he thinks is that's why I am anemic quite often, is because the spleen will purify the blood and everything, and so he thinks my blood is being run through twice because they're both working. So if anybody needs a spleen donor and you're A positive blood, there you go. Fact number 2 is when I was in high school, a bunch of friends of mine some of them were a little older, we had a TV show. We were on late night TV. I think it was 11 o'clock at night on our local Fort Dodge, Iowa radio station, or TV station, KVFD, which doesn't exist anymore. And we had this show called Gate to the Graveyard. And what it was, well, there was another show. We took it off of a show in Des Moines called Gravesend Manor, which but ours was kind of the same thing. What it was we had we showed old horror movies, like, the old Frankenstein movies and The Mummy and all those different ones. And then at commercial break, we'd do skits, and we were like a house full of like vampires and monsters and that sort of thing. We all played these characters, and I was on there as like the special character. I would do one time I was the Lavon lady instead of the Avon lady, and I was this 80-some-year-old woman that would come in and try to sell them Avon. Anyway, it was fun. We had a blast. I wish I had those tapes because the people we were working with, some of my friends and things, they were crazy. And all right, we had a slight memory card full problem there. Okay. So the next fact is to tell you about, I used to work at Save a Pet Animal Rescue in Palatine, Illinois. And when I lived in Chicago, and I volunteered there for about 3 years. It was a no-kill animal shelter. It was a very interesting experience. I worked in the cats side only, not the dog side, because I'm more partial to cats. Also, they're a little quieter. And at the time I was trying to personally put them out of business. I had 7 cats, and they were all from the shelter, and I had 3 three-legged cats. I was known as like the three-legged cat lady because I don't know why, because people wouldn't adopt them. And I had one, my favorite one was Tripod, and great name, huh? He was, his leg was, I think he was a fan belt kitty. He was caught in the fan belt of a car. When you go out in your car in the winter, stray cats can sometimes get into the engine to get warm, and as people start their cars, I know it's a horrible thing, but this happens. I had actually 2 fan belt kitties, and one was caught in a trap. But anyway, he was a wonderful cat. They were all great. And let's see what else. I think that was 3. One of my other ones is I have one of my ancestors was in the Salem witch trials. Actually, 3 of them were. Ann Foster, Mary Lackey, and her daughter. I don't remember the names. I'm kind of bad at that. But anyway, they were not witches, but they said that they were witches just because they thought that they they got better treatment if they said that they were witches. Anyway, and the very that was my number 4. Number 5 is I used to raise Cercopia moths, and I used to do that. I did that for several years. I would get them and as little larval things and feed them apple leaves until they grew up into the great big caterpillars, and then they would open up and I would release them. So I did that. I think that's 5. I think that's all I'm going to do right now. I could go on probably with other weird facts, but that's all you get. So tag these 5 people that are going to be listed over here, and thanks Real Nutty for picking me. Thanks.